Welcome guys to our first holiday video. This one is a pure maths one and we're dealing with a past exam question on trigonometric equations. A couple of things that I want you guys to be remembering is your trigonometric identities. These, one or both of the ones that you have to learn at your level, are likely to come up in an exam question. And the second thing is, when we're solving these, often but not always, we're going to want to have them in the either one of tan, sine or cosine involved in our equation. We generally aren't going to want to have both. So let's apply that knowledge to this question here. Here we have 7 cosine x plus 5 equals to 2 sine squared x. So I'm going to use my trigonometric identity here to change that sine squared x into cosine squared x. So what I'm going to do here is replace it with 1 minus cosine squared x using the identity that we've learnt this year. My next line is going to be the same, except I'm just going to expand that bracket out. So I'm going to have this, 2 minus 2 cosine squared x. Now, hopefully you can see at this stage we're going to have one of those quadratic equations. We're going to pull everything over to the left-hand side. So I'm going to have a 2 cosine squared x here. I'm going to have plus 7 cosine x and plus 3 is equal to 0. And now we're going to factorize out using double brackets. So let's have a look. What do we have here? We're going to have a 2 cosine x, not 2 os x, 2 cosine x, and we've got plus 3 at the end, which means we either have 1 and 3 as factors or minus 1 and minus 3 as factors. But since we've got a 7 cosine x, they're both going to have to be positive. We're going to have to times that 2 cosine x by 3 to get 6x, and then the 1 cosine x by 1 to get the 7th one. Okay, now at this stage we're going to have cosine x has two possible values. It's either going to equal minus 1/2 in the first bracket. 2 times minus 1/2 is equal to negative 1, plus 1 is 0. That will make that whole bracket equal to 0, and anything times 0 is 0. Alternatively, in the second bracket, you could have cosine x equals negative 3, except that that's undefined. You know your cosine graph looks something like this, and it goes from a high of 1 to a low of minus 1. So this value is impossible, it's undefined, so we're going to ignore that. We're going to deal with this other one here, 90. I'm just going to pop in my values into my cosine graph here, 270, and this one here is 360. Now, cosine x. To find out what x is, we're going to go x is equal to the inverse cosine of minus 1/2. And when we plug that into our calculator, we're going to get x is equal to 120 degrees. Now, on our graph here, let's just see where that is. 120 degrees is somewhere over here, right? Roughly. And you can see in the range that we've been given, which is between 0 and 360, we're going to have one more of those, namely this point here. And by symmetry, we can work out that if this one here, the first one, is 120 from this high point here, then this one here is 120 from the high point at 360. So if you go 360 minus 120, you're going to end up with your second value being 240 degrees. And those are the only two values for x between 0 and 360 degrees. Well, I hope this video helped you understand how to do those a little bit better.